US Defence Secretary James Mattis is set to visit India this week. This to take the India-US defence ties to the next level. Fighter jets, drone deals and concerns over Afghanistan security challenges look set to dominate the agenda. Now, Mattis would meet his Indian counterpart Nirmala Sitharaman, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and also call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ruler of United Arab Emirates, Northern Sharjah Emirate, arrived in Kerala on Sunday for a 5-day visit to boost bilateral ties. Sheikh Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi is scheduled to visit the port city of Kochi, where he'll be leading the UAE business powerhouses are in fact operating in India's only international container transport ship and terminal is there. And he's also scheduled to attend a number of other events in the state. Horse carriages in the Western world have now been reduced for ceremonial purposes and giving tourists a joyride. But in India, they are still the means of earning livelihood. However, reports suggest that the profession is on the decline. In Amritsar, the coachmen of tongas regret at the fact that the fuel-guzzling cars, buses, auto rickshaws and now battery-operated e-vehicles have taken away their business. Hundreds of people in India's central Bhopal city on Sunday took part in a marathon to raise funds. This for the treatment of children suffering from leprosy, a disease causing disfiguring skin ulcers and nerve damage in limbs. People from all walks of life and across age groups took part in the 3.5-kilometer run titled the Bhopal Run to give to help the leprosy-affected families in the country. The customers, in fact, in Guwahati city on Sunday, the customers flocked to markets in order to buy new clothes and Hindu goddesses' idols ahead of Durga Puja festival. Special stalls have been set up. A new collection of clothes are available in the market to attract customers. Reports suggest that sales have gone up in the past week as Pujo is set to commence from September 26th. A Delhi police officer on Sunday created a world record in calligraphy by writing 1,000 names of devotees of a Hindu lord in nearly 3.5 hours. India's Star World Record adjudicator presented, in fact, the certificate to the 50-year-old policeman Shyamalan and has earlier made records in India's Limca Book of Records in the year 2011, 2013 and then 2015. President Donald Trump expands the travel ban on North Korea, Venezuela, Chad and some other countries. Now, the president has dropped Sudan from the earlier ban. The new travel ban is now applicable in Chad, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Syria, Venezuela, Yemen and Somalia. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says the United States would not carry out a strike on North Korea because the US knows that Pyongyang has nuclear bombs. According to Russian media, Sergei told a Russian TV channel that while he was not defending North Korea, the regime's position with nuclear bombs is a widely accepted analysis, he said. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has been re-elected for a fourth term, this according to the exit polls, although what came as a surprise was that the far-right party is also set to enter parliament for the first time in more than 60 years. Merkel's CDU is set to remain the largest party in the parliament with 33% of the vote. The Social Democratic Party says it will go into opposition after winning a 20% vote, and AfD is back on track to become the third party with a 13.5% vote. Iraq's Kurds are set to vote today for an independence that has stirred fears across the region, and the war against Islamic State group winds down. The United States and United Nations have condemned the referendum. Turkey, meanwhile, has threatened to use military force to prevent the emergence of an independent Kurdish state, and Baghdad has warned that it will respond militarily to any violence resulting from that vote. Ousted Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif will return to Pakistan today to face corruption and money laundering cases against him in the court. Sharif was in London on the account of his wife's treatment for cancer. Reports suggest that he made this decision following a consultation meeting with Pakistan Prime Minister Shahid Abbasi and Punjab Chief Minister Shehbaz Sharif in London. Refugee camps housing the refugees in Bangladesh are becoming increasingly cramped, leaving no space for new refugees who are still fleeing Myanmar. Reports suggest that newly arrived refugees said that it was difficult to find available space to put up tents, and the only space available is far from where the aid is being distributed to them. Bangladesh has imposed ban on Rohingya Muslims from using mobile phones now. Telecommunication companies have been restricted from selling mobile phone connections to the refugees, citing security concerns. The companies have been threatened with fines if they violate the ban. And Bangladesh's telecom authorities have said that the ban could be lifted once the biometric identity cards are issued to the newly arrived refugees. A woman was killed, at least 6 people were injured when a man opened fire at a Tennessee church in Nashville on Sunday. Officials said the suspect shot himself as one of the worshippers confronted with him in fact with a firearm. The shooter has been identified as a 25-year-old Emmanuel Sampson. National Football League players knelt out and linked arms during the pre-game national anthem plays across the country and in London this Sunday. This hours after US President Donald Trump called on fans to boycott teams that do not discipline players who protest. And Trump also criticized players who refused to stand up for the national anthem and asked owners to fire players who do not do so. Meanwhile, Donald Trump clarified that his comments on the NFL players who kneel during the national anthem have nothing to do with race. Trump on Saturday urged sports fans to leave the stadium if they saw players going down on their knees while the anthem was being played. Thousands of volunteers have been offering aid, both the material and the spiritual aid, in Mexico City, which was rattled by 2 deadly earthquakes in September alone. Tons of donations have come in and went out. Ordinary citizens donated pickaxes, shovels and hard hats for an army of volunteers. Others brought food, water and clothing. Japanese experts working alongside Mexican rescuers at the quake site on Sunday found a dog alive amongst the rubble of a collapsed apartment. The dog was pulled out of the rubble by a Japanese and Mexican crew and was reportedly in good health. Inundated by volunteers wanting to help in the search operation for survivors, moles in Mexico City ran a training program amid ongoing rescue operations 6 days after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. And the moles, known as the topos in Spanish, formed as a volunteer search and rescue group saved lives in the working-class neighborhood of the Rico, where there had been a poor government response. National death toll from Tuesday's quake currently stands at 319. A memorial mass was held in Mexico for victims of the country's deadliest earthquake in 32 years at the capital's Basilica of the Guadalupe on Sunday. The country's top clergyman said the whole country was in mourning for the lives lost, the family torn by pain, the innocent children who died under the rubble, and the tears of the parents who cannot understand the tragedy. The clergyman also praised the work by armed force who were working for the rescue and search operations in the capital. People in San Juan and Puerto Rico are struggling to obtain basic goods and services after damage caused by Hurricane Maria. Maria was the second major hurricane to savage the Caribbean this month and the most powerful storm, to strike Puerto Rico in nearly a century. The storm killed at least 25 people, including at least 10 in Puerto Rico alone. The residents of Tuabaja, where 2 victims drowned due to Hurricane Maria, were gathering their strength as they start to clean up and rebuild. The mayor of Tuabaja also was more optimistic, and as he said that he was bringing drinking water to the residents, which he described as the oasis that everyone needs right now. Taiwanese students' protest on Sunday forced the cancellation of a concert organized by a Chinese talent show. Organizers called a halt. After about 2 hours, the protesters struggled with security guards and sounded air horns. This even further incited pro-independence groups, as the Chinese organizations did not mention Taiwan in their promotional material. A group of protesters waving Spanish flags gathered on Sunday at Barcelona port to support the Spanish National Police and the Civil Guard officers, which housed in ferries docked in the port. The Interior Ministry rented 3 ferries to accommodate the police officers who are reinforcing Catalonia as tensions rise around independence referendum banned by the Constitutional Court. At least 20 protesters were arrested after they marched through an upscale shopping mall in St. Louis, Missouri on Saturday. Reports suggest they demonstrated against the acquittal of a white police officer in the fatal shooting of a black man. A dramatic video showed clashes erupting between protesters and local police at the Galleria Mall after a demonstrator was arrested. Videos uploaded to social media website on Saturday appear to show the aftermath of airstrikes in Idlib, Syria. The footage appears to be showing rescuers helping injured people from destroyed buildings and the moment the airstrikes hit defense workers. Indonesian officials recommended people to stay away within 9 to 12-kilometer radius from the crater of Mount Agung on Sunday. This after the alert status of the volcano was put to highest level, meaning an eruption could be imminent. Officials say nearly 10,000 people have been evacuated so far, and the number was expected to rise. A cold front was brought a wave of snow to regions around the Altai city of northwest China's Xinjiang late Saturday night. This causing a sharp temperature drop and disrupting traffic. The areas of the temperature dropped to -4 degrees Celsius and disrupted traffic in parts as the road surfaces were filmed with ice. A video showed a man riding a train by clinging onto the windscreen wiper outside the moving train in Perth on Saturday. Reports suggest that police have detained the 23-year-old after the train arrived at the next station. And the United Launch Alliance successfully launched the Atlas V-541 rocket on Saturday. The rocket was carrying the classified NROF-42 mission for the United States National Office after a 48-hour delay, which is blamed on the faulty battery of the launch vehicle. Christie's Shanghai auction season got underway on Sunday, with 35 offerings from the contemporary art world going under the hammer. Zhao Wuqi's artwork was sold at around $5 million, which reached the highest bidding price for a single collection by Christie's Mingmen in China. And the auction is part of Christie's first open series and is now in its 12th year. This is the fifth year for the auction to take place in China. Britain's Prince Harry was awarded the first 2017 Invictus Games medals on Saturday in Toronto to the winners of the Jaguar Land Rover Driving Challenge. In fact, competitors from the Netherlands, United Kingdom, Denmark received gold, silver and bronze medals respectively. From Harry, the Games have been held twice before in London and in Orlando, and more than 550 competitors will take part in the competition in Toronto, which started on September 23rd and will go on till September 30th. The first ever World Wrestling Championship just wrapped up in Australia on Sunday, featuring what organisers say is the original extreme sport. It is estimated that 20,000 people took in the two-day medieval fair in suburban Sydney, featuring a variety of sights from life in the 15th century. But most participants were drawn by what organisers said the original extreme sport. The Roman sarcophagus of Hercules was put on display for visitors at an archaeological museum in the southern Turkish city of Antalya on Sunday. A few days late after, in fact, returning to its official homes, Swiss authorities have ordered the Roman era sarcophagus to be returned to Turkey 50 years after it was smuggled abroad. Carved with images of the 12 labours of Hercules. It is thought to originate from the 2nd century AD. Some 600 people marched down the streets and turned the Russian Far East city into orange on Sunday. This to mark the 18th International Tiger Day Festival. The festival is an annual event calling for the protection of endangered Siberian tiger, also known as the Amur tiger. President Putin sent his greetings to big cat enthusiasts, saying the event is an important educational mission for raising public awareness on the conservation of biodiversity and planet's wildlife. Monitoring personnel has captured video footage of protected animal goral in the nature reserve in southwest China's Yunnan province. The brown hairs and short horns, the goral was recorded climbing steep cliff and sometimes not even licking the rocks on the cliff. And gorals have already been listed as vulnerable species by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and second-class state protected animal in China. The Shanghai Wildlife Park launched a series of previews on Saturday, in the 2 weeks ahead of the first birthday of a pair of mixed-sex giant panda twins, which falls on October 4th. The pandas are the first pair of mixed-sex twins born in East China, and they have been in good health since they were born last year. The park will hold several other events like drawing portraits for the twins before a big birthday party on October 4th. This to celebrate their first birthday for the twin pandas. A hot air balloon tourism kicked off on Sunday at the Grand Canyon's Scenic Spot in China's Hubei province. A series of hot air balloon-themed activities were held to boost local tourists. And besides exciting hot air balloon rides over the Grand Canyon, the festival also offered tourists hikes along the steep cliffs of the karst terrain. To the world of entertainment, Italy's most famous duo, Dolce & Gabbana, played their trump card on Sunday with the Spring-Summer 2018 collection themed around the Queen of Hearts, one of the final shows at Milan's Fashion Week. Dolce & Gabbana's Queens of Heart came in all colors, shapes and textures. Models wore glittered, embroidered or chiffon dresses with eye-catching crowns on their heads and red roses in their hair. Latin American pop singer and actress Jennifer Lopez announces $1 million in aid for hurricane relief efforts in Porto Rico. Olympic champion Eliud Kipchoge missed out on his bid to set a new world record but claimed victory in Berlin Marathon on Sunday. The 32-year-old Kenyan fought off the Ethiopian debutant Durga and crossed the line in 2 minutes 3.32 seconds to claim his second win of the event.